Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. It is the 4th of July, but it's hitting a little bit differently for those with connections to both sides of the border. CBC's Dalton Chen has our top story.
July 4th, 1776 was when the Declaration of Independence established the United States of America. 249 years later, Independence Day remains the most American of U.S. holidays. But for some Windsor residents with U.S. citizenship, celebrating the day carries complexities.
I'm pretty upset with a lot of the things that are happening politically in the U.S. But at the same time, my dear friends and family who are American are still my dear friends and family.
Laura Guzba is a Michigan-born dual citizen who lives in Windsor but works in Detroit as a nurse. She's spending this July 4th at a summer camp for kids in Michigan.
So I have my little 4th of July necklace on, and we had a red, white, and blue lunch. I would say this July 4th is feeling very different. But I try to take the long view over history and hope that the ship will kind of right itself or turn in a better direction.
Guzba isn't alone with her mixed feelings. Detroit-born Karen Murphy has been living in Windsor since 1994. She officially became a dual citizen 2 years ago. Despite fond childhood memories of July 4th, she spent the 2025 date in Windsor with no particular plans.
I'm just hanging out here, which makes it a little unusual. Normally there's a celebration of some kind of barbecue or fireworks or something like that. A lot of my time has been focused on listening to politics and what is going on with Trump's ugly bill and worrying about 17 million Americans who are going to lose health care and, my friends and family who I worry about every day living over there.
Murphy is talking about Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which was passed by Congress this week and signed by Trump today. Democrats have criticized the budget reconciliation bill, saying it cuts taxes for big business groups while slashing the U.S. federal safety net. Michael Breschgold, a dual citizen who chairs the Windsor chapter of Democrats Abroad, also finds the big bill and his fellow Americans on his mind as he celebrates July 4th.
And just to give an example, the Medicare cuts, while they won't take effect immediately, they're going to start seeing within the next year or so, they're going to start seeing rural health communities, hospitals close, and I think it's going to bring them to the realization that maybe this isn't the direction we want to go.
Republicans argue the bill will grow the U.S. economy and improve national security. The Canadian chapter of Republicans overseas was unavailable for comment. Although July 4th is traditionally recognized as U.S. Independence Day, there is some historical nuance to that. The Second Continental Congress voted for independence on July 2nd, 2 days before it was formally adopted. Dalton Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Just to clarify, we incorrectly referred to one of the dual citizens in that story as Karen Murphy. Her actual name is Kathy Murphy. Now, this year's Independence Day celebrations in the U.S., they come as President Donald Trump continues to insist that his country should annex Canada. The CBC's Thomas Dagla traveled to one border city and found Americans pushing back on their president's rhetoric and hoping Canadian tourists and shoppers will soon return.
Steering through both U.S. and Canadian waters, this Buffalo, New York tour boat shows visitors how the city's intertwined with its neighbor, Ontario.
We consider ourselves almost Canadian because when I travel, they say, where are you from? Buffalo, New York. Oh, by Manhattan? Like, no, we're pretty much Canada.
Buffalo Harbor Cruises is giving Canadians 30% off all summer. So is the Buffalo Bison's baseball team. All in a region where Canadians were known in the past to spend more than $2 billion US a year.
Up to 40% of tourists here typically come from the Greater Toronto area. Now, local businesses are trying to lure back visitors upset about the U.S. president's rhetoric about Canada.
U.S. border data shows a 24% drop year over year in travelers crossing into Western New York.
I think it's really insulting that our president even suggests that you would be a state.
Usually there's oodles and boodles of folks coming. I haven't seen it.
The tourism office is even paying for this billboard ad, telling drivers in Toronto, Buffalo loves Canada. A long-running campaign they pulled back from in the winter when Donald Trump threatened punishing tariffs.
What were the messages you were getting back in February?
Yeah, it was very negative. And so it was, Canadians are very kind at the same time, but it's like, we love you, Buffalo, but we'll see you in 4 years after the Trump administration is over with.
Border crossings here never fully recovered since COVID hit. A sustained drop especially felt now, even at this children's museum.
The traffic's not there. It is really tough and difficult to kind of see just kind of what the relationship is right now.
The city's banking on Canadians returning someday, whether for a boat tour or just a visit. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Buffalo, New York.
Okay, now this next one may make you feel hungry, or it might do the opposite. It might suppress your appetite for a bit. It's the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest in Coney Island, New York. This 4th of July saw the return of 16-time champion Joey Chestnut. He was banned from participating last year due to a competing sponsorship with a plant-based food company. Chestnut returned to his winning form, gulping down an astounding 70.5 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. The defending champion came in a distant second with 46.5. Now for the women's field, reigning champion Miki Sudo earned her 11th win, scarfing down 33. Let's bring in Khalil Hassan Ali for that. Khalil, I can't even imagine downing that many hot dogs, especially in this heat.
No, that's going to be quite uncomfortable. I'm just feeling a little bit ill even thinking about that. So, Katerina, what we do have is a heat warning that is in place through much of southwestern Ontario, stretching all the way up towards the city of Toronto. So this is what it looks like. Windsor, Leamington, Chatham-Kent, all the way to London, all the way to the GTA. There is going to be a heat warning in place that is going to be bringing temperatures north of 30 degrees to us, but then also the humidex values are going to be north of 40 degrees. So you really do want to take care over the next little bit and the next couple of days. Stay hydrated, plan ahead.
Thanks, Khalil. We will check back in with you later in the program. All right, we told you this week that the old Boblo amusement park ferry dock is coming down on the mainland. It was a symbol of what was when the ferry would take folks over to the to the island, pardon me, in its heyday. So with that in mind, let's take a walk down memory lane to revisit that special time.
My name's Norm Ross, and I'd like to ask you to join me on a little trip through the history of Boblo.
Norm Ross worked on Boblo Island when it was an amusement park, a hot spot for family outings and a favorite place to work for local teens. He now lives on the island and, as a history buff, collects all kinds of memorabilia from that time.
Well, this is my card to get me across to Boblo. That's my Boblo name tag. This is proof that they used to have elephant rides at Boblo. Here's my favorite, Boblo Island salt and pepper shakers in the shape of feet.
Oh,
I don't
my
know.
goodness.
I have no idea what they were thinking when they made those. I started working on the island in 1974. I started in the off season as a painter. When we had to come across, it was before they would have the papooses ready or anything. And they just had a barge that was tied to a boat called the Gory. And it was just a barge with no railings or anything. And if you were on the dock, I'd have my lunch pail, I'd have to jump onto the boat. So I'm sure the Ministry of Transportation would be very happy with that.
He also drove the street sweeper, cleaned washrooms.
And then I became the park appearance supervisor and manager. And finally, I became a trumpet playing clown.
That's him playing the trumpet right there. He has many fond memories of that time.
The Labor Day thing where we filled the, usually the girls who worked on the log ride, they'd fill it with detergent or Mr. Bubble, and we'd have floating clouds of suds all over the entire island.
He also recalls a large shipwreck in the Detroit River, and he came to Boblo with his family to see the Montrose. This photo is from that day. Sarah Gibb worked on Boblo Island from the late 80s until the park closed in 1993.
So many good memories. It was a lot of fun to work at Boblo. It was kind of the place that everybody worked in the summer.
Diane Coots worked on the roller coaster, the Flume, and the Rotor in the 70s as a teen.
So a lot of it was teenagers supervising teenagers, really, is what it was. So there weren't a lot of adult supervision around.
She recalls pushing the limits while testing the roller coaster one time.
I was a gymnast in high school and a little bit of a daredevil. So what I did was I turned backwards, cut my arms underneath the safety bar, went up, and I went, all right, this is going to be good. And then I went, oh, you're coming down. I'm the only one in the back. And I had my arms hooked, but my feet started to flip over my head. and then turned sideways. And I thought, I'm going to go. But I was really strong. So I held on. And then I came back down. And the girl at the desk, she said, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, that was so much fun. I could have died.
She knows that would never happen today, saying it was a freer time.
Socially, times were just really easy. So I think that's what I'm more nostalgic for, not the place itself.
For Gibb, she wishes more of the park was preserved on the island, now a residential community with public access limited.
I regret that we didn't keep something, even, the old ticket booth or something like that. But even if they cleaned up the old passenger dock, I think that could be something that, people would like to see and visit.
The company that owns the island says it does have plans down the road to repurpose some of the old buildings, like the old dance hall potentially, and welcome more people back to the island in the coming years. All the while, it's clear the island still has a hold on people's hearts after all this time.
Well, that's because I think many people have very fond memories, teen years, either not just working here. If they think about family, they think about picnics, they think about opportunities with the family, they often think of Boblo.
Baby turtles at Point Pelee National Park now have a better chance of surviving into adulthood, thanks to the park's turtle tracking program, which wouldn't be possible without support from Caldwell First Nation. Our video producer Mike Evans went to Pelee to learn more.
Hello everybody, my name is Sydney Simpson. I work here at Point Pelee National Park as a resource management technician. I'm a Caldwell First Nation member and a part of the Turtle Clan. Today we're going to be talking about our turtle tracking program here at Point Pelee National Park. So we come in every morning. Usually the snapping turtles are busy along the roadsides. So if we see them nesting, we'll go and get our gear and we'll come back and we'll watch them nest and make sure that they can get safe back to the marsh. Also, we'll look for turtle nests along the roadside, on our nesting mound over there at the Marsh Boardwalk, and we'll protect them with the 2x4 box and chicken wire. At the end of August and September, we'll come and check the nest every single day in the afternoon to make sure that the hatchlings don't get too warm. If we find any hatchlings, we'll release them into the marsh. They know their way back to the water, but they have a big bush to walk through. They have predators, raccoons, coyotes, a lot of other things that would like to eat them along the way. Usually about 1% live to adulthood.
If somebody was visiting Point Pelee National Park and they saw a turtle on the side of the road, what should they do?
They could go to their nearest staff. Usually the gate is the best place to go, and they can radio the turtle trackers and we'll come and take care of them. We'll come and watch over them, and then we'll place a nest box over their nest once they are finished and help them get back to the water.
I know there's signs up everywhere. Are people in Point Pelee National Park still hitting turtles with their cars?
They are. Speeding is a big one. Overwintering painted turtles that come out, and they're about the size of a loony. So you really can't see them on the road. If you're going really fast, you think it might just be a water spot in the road. So on the side of the road here, we have a nesting box of a snapping turtle. Depending on the maturity of the snapping turtle, we have seen 20, 40, 60, almost 70 eggs per nest.
And what is it in their biological makeup that tells them that swamp is that away?
Well, they rely on the moonlight and they can smell the water. Being a Caldwell First Nation member, I really have a lot of respect for our water and our lands. Point Pelee National Park was the land of our ancestors. It's our traditional territory. So being able to work here is truly an honor to protect our land and our waters.
In other local news, the region's measles outbreak is winding down, with just one case reported in Windsor, Essex in the last 3 weeks.
We have also wastewater surveillance on our dashboard available for people to look at that. It also shows that the wastewater surveillance signal came back to baseline, which bring us some comfort and for our community that we are probably at the end tail of this outbreak.
The medical officer of health says there have been nearly 150 cases reported since the start of the year, but the peak was in April with 82 cases. There's also been an uptick in people getting the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, though how many isn't yet known. But he said the health unit provided vaccines to 5,000 migrant farm workers in the area, helping to protect them against the highly contagious virus. Public Health Ontario recently reported a downward trend in measles cases, just 12 new cases across the province this week. A live look outside. The storm, I believe, just wrapped up. Looking out the window there. We are back in a heat wave for the weekend, though, so try to stay cool if you can. We will be right back after the break. Welcome back. 2 people were left injured after a 3-vehicle collision on Highway 401 in Tecumseh this morning. The highway was closed for several hours today between Puce Road and County Road 46, according to OPP. Its officers, along with EMS and Tecumseh Fire and Rescue, responded to the incident just after 10:30 a.m. Police say one driver was seriously injured while another was transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The third driver was not injured. The Tecumseh detachment of the OPP is investigating. And in national news, home sales in some major Canadian markets are slumping. New numbers out earlier this month show that Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary have all seen dips, with bidding wars seemingly a thing of the past. Scott Peterson has more on this downward trend.
At the beginning of the year, real estate boards across Canada thought the housing market was poised to bounce back. Interest rates were coming down, prices had flattened out, and it was shaping up to be a buyer's market. But then talk of the tariffs hit from Canada's largest trading partner, That pretty much upended home sales in cities across the country, along with rising glut now of unsold homes. Starting with fresh prices from the Toronto real estate market this morning, home sales in June down about 2.5% from last year to just over 6,200 homes being sold. Prices also down 5.5%. The average price in Toronto now is about 1.1 million, and that's with all types of homes rolled in there, condos, semis, and detached. Now, what is spiking up is inventory. The total number of active listings of unsold homes is up 31% over last year to just over 31,000 properties. Vancouver, same story. Sales down close to 10% from last year. Prices fell almost 3% to 1.17 million, and another 24% spike in inventory to about 17,500 unsold homes. Once hot Calgary, same story. Home sales there down 16.5%. Prices down about 3.5% to just over 586,000. And again, total unsold listings up 83% to just over 6,900 unsold homes on the market. Now, the real estate boards from all three cities are pointing out that lower interest rates are good for buyers, but the tariff uncertainty created by Canada's largest trading partner is keeping buyers at a distance. Scott Peterson, CBC News, Toronto.
This year's Calgary Stampede has officially opened. Organizers are hoping for another year of record-setting attendance. And as the CBC's Paula Duhatchik reports, even amid a trade war, fairgoers are ready to spend.
Open it up! And just like that, another Stampede is off to the races.
I am so excited to be here.
It's going to be an incredible experience for me, for being a Maritimer.
Super excited. I have all my Stampede fits planned.
The Calgary Stampede is known as the greatest outdoor show on earth, but it's also considered an economic bellwether for Alberta.
I think it reflects current conditions, how people are feeling about the state of the economy, the state of the energy sector, but also a little bit forward-looking as well.
Even amid a trade war, there's plenty of excitement in the city. This Stampede comes amid talk from politicians of Canada becoming an energy superpower, and after years of inflation, prices have started to even out.
To me, this all supports more optimism, cautious optimism, around Stampede time.
Last year, the Stampede set a record with more than 1.4 million visitors, and this year, organizers are expecting even more.
There's a lot of people that are staying closer to home this year, and this is one of the biggest events in Canada. I think it's on a lot of people's bucket lists to come and check out.
Clean today.
We've got a lot of premium suites that we sell in the GMC Stadium for the rodeo and the chucks, and those are all sold out.
Visitors say their wallets are open. Do you have a budget for Stampede?
Heck no. Spend all of it.
And there are plenty of opportunities to spend money.
The sweet tea with boba came to $35, I think, for 3 of them. Yes.
How much for the fries?
I think $16. Yes.
Bought 2 pairs. This one and a pair of these.
How much did that set you back?
200.
The Stampede says the economic impact of the next 10 days is around $282 million. There we go. But at the end of the day, you can't put a price on a good time.
Yahoo! Yahoo!
Yahoo!
Paula Duhatchik, CBC News, Calgary.
We'll be right back with your weekend forecast. Stay with us. Khalil Hassanali is back now for more on weather. Khalil, we've been dealing with the heat, of course,
Yes.
but in the last hour, we also dealt with quite a bit of rain. And I know that's still hitting in some parts of the city.
Definitely. It's going to be hitting in different parts of the city as we go through the rest of the evening, but let's look at around 8 o'clock that hopefully it'll be all gone. And then, as you mentioned, that heat, Katarina, that is going to be very present through the entirety of the weekend. It is going to be a heat warning that's already in place, warning us from Saturday morning until Sunday evening, there is going to be extreme temperature. So the real temperature is going to be north of 30 degrees. We're not unusual to that temperature. However, the humidex value, that's going to be north of the 40 degree mark. So you really do want to plan ahead if you're going to be outside for any extended period of time over the next 2 days. Looking at the weekend, usually that's when people like to get out. It's going to be very, very hot. So really do plan ahead. Keep hydrated and also keep yourself safe from that sun. And then also with that heat warning, it's also not really going to bring any relief through the overnight hours. So we're looking at overnight temperatures still in the low 20s. So that is not really going to allow for a lot of relief for us. Looking right now at the Doppler radar, we do see a few bands around Windsor. But once again, by the time we get to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, hopefully that will move out of the way. By midnight, we should be all clear. Heading into tomorrow, it should be a pretty nice day. Maybe a little bit of cloud cover, but it isn't going to be raining all that much, which is really nice as we go once again through the rest of tomorrow. But what you're going to be dealing with tomorrow is that heat warning. So we're looking at it starting in Windsor and going all the way to the city of Toronto and past it. Once again, bringing temperatures north of 30 degrees, bringing humidex values north of 40 degrees. And we're talking about Saturday, but Sunday could be even warmer. They haven't come out with humidex values as of yet for that time. Looking at what the situation is in Windsor right now, we're still at 25 degrees all through southwestern Ontario. It looks to be around the mid-20s, a little bit warmer up through Sarnia. In Windsor today, once again, that is our current temperature. We are looking also at a pretty nice day through Winnipeg and a bit cooler through Edmonton and Calgary this moment. It's going to be 21 overnight tonight. A chance of some rain coming down, not too much, but tomorrow afternoon, look at that humidex value north of 40 degrees as we are at 32 degrees for our high. So we do want to take extra precautions and heat exhaustion as we look over the next little bit. These are some signs to be looking out for. So feeling faint, headache, rapid heartbeat. So all of this is going to be taken into account. And this is our outlook for the next couple of days. 32 on Saturday, 33 Sunday, and 28, 29 by the time we get to the work week.
Thank you so much, Khalil. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a fabulous weekend.